Welcome to the Fatherhood Fitness Podcast. I'm your host, Anthony Pluff. Each week, we will cover various topics that dads struggle with in their fitness journey. I'll give you actionable steps that you can apply right away, not only to take back control of your own health, but so you're able to be a better example for your kids too. All right, welcome in to this week's episode of the Fatherhood Fitness Podcast. Today, we have Jeff Dalzell on the podcast. The first time I've ever said his name right there. So I was on Jeff's podcast, the Dependable Dad podcast, a few weeks ago. And so Jeff is somebody that I've gotten to know over the past few months. We did a mentorship together, so we kind of got to know each other through there. And then we met in person, which is pretty awesome, in Dallas here at the end of February. So glad to have him here. I'm going to let him introduce himself, tell us a little bit about who he helps, and then we'll jump right in.
Yeah, man, awesome to be here. So similar to you, I started out working with just dads, and then I had a lot of the wives of the dads, moms, kind of come in and be like, hey, I want help as well. So I kind of transitioned to, so I help all parents, particularly with young kids, which are the boat that you and I are in. You have 3 under about 4. My oldest just turned 3, and then I have 17-month-old twins. So kind of figuring out how to navigate kind of getting back to that confidence level and feeling good in the midst of the chaos of early childhood parenting is kind of really where I find myself spending a lot of my time.
Nice. Yeah. I mean, we both got three kids. You have two twins. Is that right?
Yeah. So they're gosh, the math, it gets a little hairy when you start doing the months. I think they're 17 months old. They're about to be 17 months old, and my oldest just turned 3 this past Sunday, on Easter Sunday, actually. So it was a very confusing day for him, because it was like, wake up and it's like, happy Easter, happy birthday.
Yeah.
Like, which one is it? This is from, this is the Easter egg hunt, and then this is your birthday present. It was a little. Hopefully that doesn't happen again for a little while.
Yeah, that's funny. When my son turned 3 last year, his birthday was on Easter, and so that's funny. But that's awesome. Yeah, so you work primarily both with moms and dads. You said so. You used to kind of work more with dads, and now you kind of shifted to doing a little bit of both. What do you do, like, specifically? And so, like, obviously, like, being a parent, like, there's different phases. Like, for you, you have 3 kids all within like 18 months there, and so, like, that, the past year and a half of your life has probably been pretty hectic, right? But for somebody who has kids who are like 10, 12, 14, they kind of have their own schedule and stuff, and so there's a wide range of, like, busyness. Like, everybody's busy, right? But how do you kind of fit that in? What do you do specifically to make sure, like, your program works for them?
For the parents that I work with, so a lot of it is, and I think you and I have talked about this a lot before, I focus a lot on what can we add, and what can we do. So a lot of times with parents, it feels, we get to the realization that we can't do even things that we might have been able to do in the past. So when I was, 25 and had no kids, I could work out 5, 6, 7 days a week if I wanted to. I could spend, all kinds of time meal prepping on Sundays and not have children hanging all over me. I could do a lot of things that I don't have the time and the flexibility to do now. And it can feel daunting, I think, for parents who maybe have had a routine in the past, think that we have to do that again. We have to do the things that we used to do, and we realize that we actually can't do it. It's not like, we do not have the time or the capability or the bandwidth to make that happen. But that's been our only path to getting there. And so thinking about some of the low-hanging fruit and the ways that we can start to adjust what it is that we're doing, which oftentimes is not a lot, or going the full extreme, that all or nothing dichotomy that we live in, which is I have to do everything or I'm not really doing anything. So starting to build up from the ground whether that's on the exercise side of things, whether that's on the nutrition side of things. Like, we're not going to go from you're eating like your kid's leftover pizza and that's the only nutrition you're getting for the day, sort of thing, and a bag of pirate's booty at the end of the night. Like, if that's where you're currently at, we're not going to go from there to we have these perfectly Tupperware made up chicken and broccoli meals. Not that you
Right.
ever need to get there, and unless you're training for a bodybuilding competition, you don't need to get there.
Right.
But figuring out how do we move one step in the right direction. If we're not working out, how can we get some movement in? Whether it's walking, whether that's a quick at-home workout with the equipment, with a book bag full of books. It's what can we add in to get you going in the right direction, because it's a lot easier to build on wins than it is to come out of the gate storming and realize you can't do it and feel like a failure.
Right. Right. Yeah. And I think like, finding something that's really simple is, I think it, like, sometimes it sounds too simple. Like I'm the, like, I mean, those listening probably don't know him, but we know Jonathan Goodman, and he always says, like, what would this look like if it were easy, and that's kind of how I kind of structure like my programs and stuff. And it's like I'm a big fan of like Fitbits, Apple Watches, and things like that. And in the fitness world, like you ask trainers, and then we're going to be in an argument all day long about how accurate they are. Is the data worth it and stuff? And for me, it's like it gives me something, right? Like if it's telling me I'm walking 7,500 steps a day, but I'm actually only getting 6,300, does that really matter? Like, no. Like, because I can tell, like, if I'm moving a little more than I did, you know what I mean? And
well, they're valid within themselves. Like,
right.
You can self-compare, right?
Right.
If the watch is saying you did 7,500 and now it's saying you did 8,500, well, you're doing more. How much more? Who cares? But like, you can compare to yourself versus like some arbitrary number that we think we ought to do.
Exactly. And that's why I'm such a big fan of it. Like I had a Fitbit for years. Now I have an Apple Watch, and I encourage, like I feel like most people have some kind of tracker now. Your phone does it or something, and so most people can get some sort of data in, and like I think it's really eye opening because I work with a lot of people, and I'm sure you do too, that work kind of like manual labor jobs, and the first thing they always say is, well, I'm moving enough, I'm on my feet all day long. And I don't doubt that. Like, you may be on your feet for 10-12 hours a day, but are you moving? You know what I mean? And it's like the Fitbit's not going to lie to you. It's not going to tell you. And so you may be standing up, you're going to be tired, right? Your feet are going to hurt from standing, but are you actually moving? And so I think, finding things like that. I'm a big fan of just like a 10-minute walk to start the day. Walk down the street and back. Like what are some things, like, obviously, like, like single parents are going to have a harder time with this, right? And like newborns, unless the weather's great out, you're probably not going to be taking them outside. So what are some things you do to kind of incorporate some of that?
Yeah. Oh man. Single parents, you mentioned that, man. My wife and I talk about it all the time. I'm like, I have no idea, how a single parent, like, I think you and I actually talked about this on mine. Like, it's just a moment of like, if you're a single parent out there, like, all the props in the world to you, because I have no idea how that happens. But so I literally was just talking with a client before we got on this call, like 10 minutes ago, and he was talking about how he runs his own business. And he had like a perfect storm of disaster 3 weeks ago, where like he had to work just absurd amount of money. He was like, I either needed to work every basically waking minute, or the business was going to fold. Like we were going to be done. And so now that's an extreme, but like we can have those moments where it's like we actually don't feel like we have the RAM to do it. And so I was like, and for him, the thing that went were his workouts. He's like, I couldn't do it. But then the trickle effect of that was he hasn't gotten a workout in for the next 2 weeks. Yeah. Like the 2 weeks since then, because he kind of lost the habit. And I was like, so what is the least thing that we can do? Can we do a 10-minute body weight little circuit with 3 exercises in your bedroom right before bed. Like with with just the things that you have in your house, even if it's not a 10 out of 10 workout, doing something helps form the habit of I did it, and now I'm more likely to be able to keep doing it. Luca Hochevar, who we both have met, who's one of the the top trainers in the world, does this analogy. He talks about a Ferris wheel. When you're starting if you're going to push a Ferris wheel around in a circle with your hands, you're starting to push a Ferris wheel. It's like really, really, really hard at the beginning. The thing is very, very heavy. But once you get it going, it only takes a couple fingers to keep it going.
Right.
And so the first couple of steps are going to feel oftentimes the hardest, but it doesn't have to be you're crushing yourself every single time to do it. So it can be as simple as the intentionality of the movement, like you talked about, was you're moving around, but that moment of I'm doing an intentional thing for my health right now, an intentional movement, whatever it is, whether it's going for a walk, a 10-minute walk, it could be that small, or I'm going to do a little mobility flow in my bedroom, or I'm going to, if you have 1 or 2 pieces of equipment at your house, like hanging on the thing behind me, or a set of TRX straps, like those, anybody can get those, are like $80 or something like that. You hang them over a door frame, and you can do a total body workout with just that in 10 minutes. Something like that you can do that's just to kind of check the box to move the Ferris wheel a little bit further along and keep the momentum going, because it's a lot easier to build on that than it is to try to, I can't do a whole workout, go to the gym, do an hour, and that's going back to what we talked about before. Well, what can you do? What can we get? Because then it just is a lot easier to, we can expand that. You're getting 10 minutes.
Exactly.
What if we stretch it to 15 minutes? Can you find another 5 minutes in your day?
Yeah.
Sort of thing.
Right. Yeah. And I had a client who was doing, like ab wheel rollouts. Right. And when I was doing with him, so this is a client I had in person. So I was meeting with him, and, he started doing it. It's like he calls it the wheel of death or something. Like he loves it. He loves that thing. But
fair name.
But he was doing it. He was doing it, and like I'm sitting there, and then when he got done with the first set, I counted 11. I counted 11 right. And I thought maybe he had done 10. I just messed it up then. Well, then he did the second set. He did 11 again. I said, "Are you doing 11?" He said, "Well, yeah." He said, 10% better. He said, "I'm just doing a little bit more than I did." And I was like, "You got it, man." And so that's exactly what you're talking about. And like I think I used to be kind of the same way, right? You can't get your whole workout in, so I'm gonna do none of it. And I've gotten better where I'm like, I only have half the time I normally would, so I could do 3 of the exercises I would. Or actually, one of my favorite approaches is do the same workout you normally would, just do less sets,
just
right?
Faster.
Just do or just fast. Take less and that
less rest, less weight. Yeah,
exactly. And that's one of the things too. I like we can read all the research and be like, well, if we're going for strength here, we need to rest like at least 3 minutes between sets and stuff. But like when you're not competing in bodybuilding, right? You're not doing these things. Does it really matter that much if you rest 1 minute or 3 minutes? Like I always put in for clients like 2 minutes, like here, or I put the rest that they should. I know they're not going to do it. Like they rest maybe 30 seconds. They're like, I don't want to waste time. And so, but the important thing is just like you're getting it in, and like you're constantly just at least doing something.
Practicality trumps perfection. So like the reality of your situation, it's better to be practical and get it done than it is to do the quote unquote perfect thing. Because, and this is maybe a little bit, but I know that we've talked a little bit about Dave Ramsey in some context, and I know you know who he is, but he talks about this like when it comes to finances, like if we were doing math, we wouldn't be in debt. Like, so the technically right answer when you're trying to get out of debt is to do what's called the debt avalanche, right? Well, I want to get to like the highest interest rate down.
Right.
And he does it the other way where you say, take the smallest one, you do the debt snowball, because it's about momentum.
Yeah.
It's about getting wins and building on it. If you did it perfectly, would you save a little bit of money doing it this other way, the dead app? Sure. Like
Right.
if we had all the time in the world, is it better to do 2 to 3 minutes of rest? Sure. But we don't have that time. And
Right.
so thinking that we have to do it that way or it's not worth doing is what keeps a lot of us stuck, because we're trying to do the perfect thing versus just doing what we can do.
Right. Right. Yeah, and I think I think a lot of those things like people get really caught up on, and I think a lot of it is I'm not saying our fault specifically, but like trainers in general. You know what I mean? Because
Yeah.
it's so like it used to be like the only way you got information is like really long form articles and things like that. And then like or websites, right? You would have to go to websites or books. And like in order for someone to publish a book, how much to like I don't know if they knew what they were talking about. I assumed they took the time to write a book. I assumed that and now it's like I can film a video right now and post it. It doesn't have to be true. And I think people get really confused, and so instead of just doing something, they're kind of waiting for that perfect plan that fits their lifestyle.
Well, and there is no perfect plan. And the other thing I think we do is we think that because somebody is doing something and they're in great shape, that's how they got there.
Yeah.
And when in reality, often, whether it's an exercise, whether it's a workout routine or anything like that, that's usually not how they got there. That's a symptom of the work that they've done.
Yeah.
Like they can do something really maybe outlandish because they're already in good shape. I don't know if you ever did this, but when I was in college and trying to figure out how to do fitness on my own, I would do the insanity workouts.
Yeah, I was just thinking Sean T25. Yeah.
So Sean T, right? So those insanity workouts, right? You're looking at these people, you're like, oh my gosh, they're so ripped. Like, but like Sean T didn't get that in that good of shape by doing those workouts.
Yeah.
Like he can do those workouts because he's in such good of shape. And so can all the other people. I still remember friggin' Tanya from Insanity is like doing all this stuff. And I'm like, I can't do it. No matter, I went through Insanity 3 times and I couldn't do it. So we think that the things that are out there are the mechanism to getting in that good of shape, when the reality is most people did the boring work that we talk about. And then because you do that, then you could do something that's kind of fun and cool. But those boring things don't get attention on the internet. And so you have to post dumb or controversial things to get attention.
Yeah, and no, I love Shanti. He, my wife was big into Insanity, and I did it for a while.
Yeah.
And then I loved T25. Those ones are awesome. But like, and like, I was literally that's exactly what popped in my head when you said that, because I was like, he's got 10 different workouts. There's no way he does all these, right? But I think there's value in that though, because one, 100%. I think like workouts like that, like Beachbody, those really like. If you stick with the program, like you're gonna get in better shape, right? Is it the best program in the world for you? Maybe. I don't know. You know what I mean? If that's something you like there, like you said, there's so many different things. Like there. I mean, some people like CrossFit. Some people like powerlifting. Some people, me and you both do different workouts. You know what I mean? It's like neither one of them is right or wrong, but it's something like if you can stick to it. And I think what you said there too with like, the amount of work that they put in at the beginning to get to it, like what they're doing now isn't what got they there, but what got them there. But I think that's something worth of value too, because the same thing goes like for like your nutrition, right? If you want to like if you're wanting to lose weight, you're going to probably have to track a little closer than you normally would. You're going to have to do some things that you normally would. Most people don't get to that maintenance phase. Most people don't get somewhere in their fitness journey where they have the freedom. They feel like if I miss this workout, I'm going to lose all my progress, because they haven't gotten to a spot where they're happy, they're content with, right? And the same thing goes for nutrition. Like you may have to do a little bit more, but once you get to where you go, you have so much more freedom. And I think that that's something that's
Mm-hmm.
not talked about too much.
Maintaining weight is infinitely easier than losing weight. It is infinitely easier than losing weight. And because you have to build the skills in the process of losing weight that you need to maintain weight.
Right.
And so it's a matter of dials. I always think about this as a dial. So like if you're going to turn the intensity up in different directions when it comes to your nutrition. I'm going to turn it up. Maybe if I'm trying to put on muscle mass, I'm going to dial it up. I'm going to eat more of what I'm currently eating. I'm not necessarily changing how I eat, but I'm just eating more of what I'm currently eating, maybe some higher calorie swaps. When you're going the other direction, you're going some lower calorie swaps and maybe a little bit less food. But it's all based on this baseline of maintenance. But in order to establish that, you have to be at a place where you're comfortable doing it.
Yeah.
And in order to get there, you have to do uncomfortable things.
Yeah.
And it doesn't mean that you have to go all like we have to do less than I think we need to do. I just said think 55 times, but we have to do less than we think we need to. But we have to do more than nothing. And so the pendulum for fitness has swings, just like in everything. And right now the pendulum is swinging, I think, to the side of flexible dieting almost to a fault.
Yeah.
Like eat whatever you want sort of thing, which is not wrong, but it's also not totally right.
Yeah.
In that you have to be some degree aware of what it is that you're doing, and you can't just eat whatever you want and get the results that you want.
Right.
You have to make some changes, and they are oftentimes less than we think they are.
Yeah.
It could be a small change or a couple of small changes, but you're not going to just be able to, all right, I can eat what I want and be flexible and because that's an internet thing. And in the process of, like, I'm currently losing some body fat. I'm in the process of doing that. And so part of that, what I try to show is you can do this and still have a piece of cake at my son's birthday. Right. Which I did. But at the same time, I was able to do that because I'm also eating a certain way the rest of my day and most other days. And we can get a little extreme on the far side now. And so there's where we want to live is somewhere in the middle.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think a lot of times, like, we almost go extreme on both sides of that too, right? For a while there, it was eat clean, eat clean, eat clean, like eat like you mentioned earlier, chicken and broccoli, like vegetables and things like, obviously, like, we know these things have more nutrition than like a piece of cake, right? But if your calorie goal for the day is 2,100 and you've eaten 1,800 calories and you've hit your protein goal, is eating a cookie going to just ruin the rest? No. Like, you're still, you know what I mean? And it's like you said there, though, like, you can have a piece of cake at your kid's birthday party, but realistically, you could have a piece of cake every single day. Like, if you really could,
had a
like,
cake last night.
Yeah, I went to my kids had gymnastics last night. We went out to get ice cream after, and we get so caught up on, like, food's, like, good or bad. I always tell, like, my kids are young, but, like, we're teaching them, like, these foods are more nutritious for you. These foods don't have as much, like, they're not good or bad. Like, even for me, like, my whole life I was told, oh, that this is bad. So it's really hard even for me to, like, get that out of my head. Like, I'm doing something bad. Like for people who, you're 40, you're 50 years old, you had 50 years of telling something that's bad, and now all of a sudden someone's saying, like, it's indifferent. It just is. Like, you may never get to that point where you think this is okay. You know what I mean? But like through repetition, you obviously like I know during actually during COVID, that 2020, I started doing a program and I lost quite a bit of weight doing it, and I had Sour Patch Kids every single night. I kid you not. I, I, I'm not even joking. Every single night, I lost. I think during that 10 to
It's a
15
good choice.
pounds. That's my favorite. But
Yeah.
but it was always accounted for. Like during the day,
Yeah.
my lunch was pretty similar. My snacks were like
Mhm.
everything was pretty similar. I was hitting my calorie goal. I was hitting my protein goal. I have 250 calories left at the end of the day. For me, like I'm not choosing some more squash or whatever else I was eating. Like
Yeah.
I'm like the Sour Patch Kids are gonna do just fine for me, and it's gonna keep me motivated. Because if you deprive yourself from all that, you
That's it
tell your
right there.
exact like if you tell yourself you can't have it, you're gonna want it that much more. The people who are online
100%.
telling you all the time how bad these things are, I guarantee you they are eating something, and maybe they're ashamed of it. Maybe they just don't want people to know.
100%.
And it's like
100%.
it's hard for me sometimes. Like I'm sitting, like I have clients that still tell me like I'll show you right now. I'm drinking a Ghost energy drink. You know, it's like
Yeah.
it's got 0 calories, it's got 0 sugar or anything. But literally every single time I drink one, and somebody sees me drinking one, the first thing they always say is, "Aren't you a trainer?" Like
Yeah.
yes I am. You
Yes, I
know,
am. And my
like
eyebrows are gonna vibrate off right now. Like I'm ready to rock.
right? And I'm like,
Let's
this
go.
actually probably has less caffeine than that triple mocha coffee that you just brought in, but you know.
Yeah. That's 900 calories.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I love there's so much there, but I love the piece that you said there about like this is going to keep you motivated because I could make it the same argument that I can make that, you know, what would be quote unquote traditionally bad foods for you. I could make an argument that those are good for you, particularly when you're on a fat loss diet, because not everything is just about the nutrition side of things. Like the people who come on and say that food is just fuel,
Mhm.
we're missing the realities of life,
Right.
right? Just like we talk about the perfect workout plan, it might be perfect in a vacuum, but we don't live in a vacuum. So the idea that I'm not going to have pizza and cake at my kid's third birthday party is actually absurd.
Yeah.
Like it's that's a bad relationship with food. I'm not even going to call it like I'm not going to use a nice word unhealthy. That's a bad relationship with food because food now has way more power over me than what it should.
Right.
Now, if I only eat pizza and cake as an example and Sour Patch Kids and all I drink is Ghost energy drinks, then there are going to be physical consequences to that, but they pair together, which is the mental, as you've heard kind of us both talk about I think during this episode, the mental aspect of this is far more important in the longevity of it than the specifics of what it is that you're doing.
Right.
Because less important than what you're doing. What you're doing is important, but less important than that is can you continue to do it for long enough to see progress.
Right.
And if you're so deprived of enjoying what I actually really love, and parents of young kids, well, I don't know if you have you watched Bluey yet. I feel like we talked about this and you hadn't seen Bluey.
So
at this point.
I've seen it. I've seen it a couple. Yeah, it's it's
Commit,
okay.
man.
It's okay.
You gotta commit. But Bluey, and a lot of people, a lot of places do this, but I just heard it this morning, which is why I thought about it. But they call it treat food.
Mm.
Those foods that are a little bit more treats. It's not that they're bad for you, but they're a little bit more indulgent. It's a treat. It's a special thing, but it's part of a whole. It can be part of a whole healthy, nutritious diet because the mental and emotional relationship with food is highly underrated. So I literally was just talking 2 days ago with a woman who used to be a professional bodybuilder. And she was, and as a result of the extreme measures that she had to take to get into the elite kind of shape that she needed to get into to be on stage, she lost her period for 2 years. And I know that most of these are dads, but most dads would understand that that would be a problem, right? And then also developed an eating disorder where then she went like full go the other direction. And so for like we can go too far in this other side of it, which is we can't eat anything that is a treat food or indulgent because it's going to derail your progress. Now, we also don't want to go the whole where it's like, oh, if it fits your macros, like you're fine. Like you can have just steak and then candy bars. Like health is an important piece of this, right? And health is not just your weight. And I actually posted just about this yesterday, and I had a moment where I was like in the caption, and I just freely said it. I was like, yeah, like strength training is good for, weight loss and things like that. But damn, not everything is about weight loss. Like, not everything is about your weight. Like there are other things, particularly for parents, which is like, am I healthy for my kid? Am I showing my kid good, healthy things? Because we still have those things, like you said, ingrained in our brain. Like that's not a good food. That's bad food for you. So are we teaching our kids? Are we showing our kids? And then are we taking care of ourselves and our health and all these things to be able to be present for our kids? And not everything has to just be, oh, did I eat the right amount of food to get to the body weight that I want to? Because body weight's important, but it's not everything.
Right. Yeah, I like what you said with having like a treat food, right? I'll have to thank Bluey for that one, but
you got to give it another chance. I don't put my stamp of approval on a lot of things, but I feel good about Bluey. I feel confident.
Man, it won't pass Paw Patrol, but that's all right. But we teach my kids like we call them sometimes foods. And so like last night we went out for ice cream, and my son is like, "Is this a sometimes?" Like he knows like it's a you know what I mean? It's like, does that mean he can't have it? No, that means we have it sometimes. And I think that's why I'm a big proponent of like tracking food. So for some people who have that poor relationship with food, tracking can seem very overwhelming, right? Because they're seeing it. But for a lot of people, this happened to me too. Like, when I started actually tracking, like when I first started tracking, like you start eating back all the calories on my fit. Like that's another conversation for another. And you're like, why isn't this working, right? And it's like you're not weighing things and stuff. You're just looking at the back of, it's only 120 calories, but there's 12 servings, and I ate the whole thing. But, but so like once you actually start tracking accurately, like I think it has a huge effect on a lot of people because it kind of shows you like you can have a piece of pizza and still lose weight. You can eat a cheeseburger and still reach your goal. You know what I mean? It's like, but some of those foods, like fast food, like most fast food restaurants are great at putting their nutrition information online, or but you can safely assume it's probably not 100% accurate. But either way, if you're eating a Big Mac and fries and it's 1,200 calories, you realize very quickly that you can have these things and lose weight, but now you have like 800 calories for the rest of the day. You know what I mean? And so it's like, and so it kind of shows you that like. I think it makes like a powerful effect of like showing you like the true power of calories there, and so you can enjoy things. You just have to play around with it a little bit.
Well, and so this is kind of backdooring your way into success, which is you realize that if you have a fixed amount of like, take money as the example again. I don't want to go too nuts with this, but like if you have, let's say, $2,000 to run your life on, okay, you're going to take care of your needs first and all this kind of stuff, and it's like, all right, what do we have left for fun money? That's the way that we need to kind of go about this, because if you spent all your money on the things that you wanted up front, you would then not be able to get in all the things that you need without having to go over, and that's how you incur debt. And so in our case, that's how we put on weight. But the other thing is level of satisfaction. So if I'm trying, like, I don't remember, everything kind of blurs together for me, but I feel like we talked about this. But take Sour Patch Kids as an example. I could demolish a movie-sized bag of Sour Patch Kids in one sitting without even a second thought, right? And that's like 700 calories. I could not eat 700 calories of sweet potatoes most likely in
No.
one sitting. Or if I did, I'd be very, very full.
Yeah.
And so there's something to, if I'm trying to be satisfied and eat and be full and content throughout my day, then the less processed, more whole foods are actually going to be the mechanism to get me there.
Right.
Which is why it's not that those sometimes are treat foods aren't, like, you could mathematically, from the laws of physics, you could lose weight eating just, steak and candy bars,
Right.
but you're going to be hungry as crap all the time because candy bars they go right through you. Like, you can eat a candy bar and be perfectly hungry 5 minutes later. So have to recognize those for their value is the mental aspect of it and to keep you feeling, ready to go. But you're not going to be like my son's leftover cupcakes from his birthday party. I've had one each of the last 2 nights, and that's similar to you, right? That's been built into what I'm trying to do. But I could eat 7 of those.
Yeah.
And like without even, and be fine.
Right.
Those things just go real smooth. And we just want to be aware of that because our hunger cues kind of go out the window when it comes to those treat foods because they're designed for us to want more of them.
Exactly.
And so prioritizing the whole, less processed foods makes eating in that calorie deficit significantly easier than it is if I'm trying to, all right, what am I currently eating? Can I fit all this into this, right? Versus trying to, again, going back to what do we do with people who are just trying to get started? Well, I'm going to start with, let's just start making some changes to your nutrition before we even go to the tracking side of things, because you're not ready for that, right? That's we're 2 steps down the road from where you are, because you're going to be way over and we're not going to know how to get you there.
Right.
So we got to change what it is that you're eating before we can start to track to see if it makes sense. Like, are you close?
Yeah. Yeah. No, I had a Jordan Syatt actually was on the podcast back in October, and we were kind of talking about kind of like the morals of food there, about kind of like having that positive relationship or a negative relationship with food. And I had kind of mentioned to him, like, like if I watch my son eat, right, and he's hungry, he had just finished his food, he's no longer hungry, he's full. I can offer him a cookie or maybe something we had that night or something, and he'll say no. And I was like, no matter how full I am, I will eat that cheesecake, right? And
there's always room for dessert. Yeah.
Exactly. And he said, and this has stuck with me, and I think about this all the time now. And he said, do you want to know why, like, kids are able to do that? He said, because they don't think of it as like good or bad, right? They don't think like, I can't have the, and I'm paraphrasing here, but he's saying, they don't think like, I can't have this food. They know they can have it later, but like when we're on a diet, we're trying to lose weight, we think we can't have those foods. And so we want to eat as much as we can now because we're not able to do that. And then, once we're off the diet or the program, we go right back to the way. And that's why people kind of yo-yo all the time, because they do think as some foods as good and others as bad.
Yeah. Or I'm on a diet, therefore I can't eat XYZ.
Right.
Versus I tell every client who works with me or anybody that I ever talk to, like, there's no food that's off limits.
Right.
Like, it's a very popular thing to come out and demonize even particular foods. It's like, oh, this food is poison for you or whatever. There's no food that's off limits.
Right.
In a healthy diet. There is no food that's off limits. I've actually been in this fat loss phase that I'm currently going through. I said this recently. I'm drinking more alcohol, and there's no health benefits whatsoever to alcohol. Anybody who's out there, even the red wine thing, right? That's been thoroughly debunked.
Wine's terrible. So
no, there's no health benefits to alcohol. But I'm drinking more right now than I normally do. I might have a drink or two on a date night with my wife, which happens, if we're lucky, every other week. So we're talking like 1 to 2 drinks every 2 weeks is like I don't basically never drink at home, but I'm like making myself drinks a couple of nights a week right now to show people you can drink regularly and still lose weight. Is it better for me? No, but it's not the alcohol that's necessarily the issue. It's not the cookie that's the issue. It's the fact that what do we do? Like, can you eat just one cupcake? Can you eat just one cookie? I eat Oreos by the sleeve, man. I eat Sour Patch Kids by the package. Like, there's no
360 calories for one package. I know.
For sure. Like, there's no stopping me there. So if you know that you don't have the self-control, then that's a different scenario. Right. But part of that comes with it's an off limits thing. So once we start, then we just go.
Yeah.
Versus like, all right, if I could have a cupcake tonight and I can have another one tomorrow night.
Yeah.
If I don't make it a taboo item, then I don't feel the need, once I've kind of cracked the glass, to just go all in because I feel guilty about it. Because it's the guilt that drives us. It's not the drink, it's the drink and, oh, I had a drink, therefore I have, this snack, and I had that snack, and so now I have a whole thing of Ben and Jerry's ice cream, and I started it, so now I have to scrape the bottom of it because it's sacrilegious not to finish a pint of Ben and Jerry's ice cream. So it's not the thing, it's what comes as a result of it. It's not the alcohol necessarily that could fit into it. It's the alcohol plus the nachos plus the all these things. And so can you do them in a vacuum? Well, that's a lot easier if you don't feel like what you're doing is wrong.
Right. And I think there's I think there's also something to it's also kind of knowing yourself too. A lot of people, when they drink, they do it late at night, right? It might be after the kids go to bed. And so like if you're up at 6 a.m. and now your kids are in bed, you're watching Netflix or something with your wife, it's 9 o'clock at night, 10 o'clock at night, and you have a drink, your willpower is probably pretty low at that point, right? And so like I think one drink can easily turn into two, can turn into, oh, remember the kids just had Easter, there's a chocolate bunny in there, it's like, and so I think it's just like helping yourself out too. And I think that's where like I'm pretty sure we talked about this, but like if food is in your house, you or somebody you love will eventually eat it, and like I'm the person I love that's gonna eat it, and so I know for me, kind of like you said, like you eat Oreos by the sleeve, like they don't stand it. Like I don't know if I told you this before, but my wife has a cookie business. My wife makes cookie like
you did mention that.
Yeah, and so like you don't you think that's a little ironic? But like she you talk about like spousal sabotage, but but like I know for me like if I buy something, like it's not a matter of if I'm going to eat it, it's when, right? And so it's like if it's in my house, like I'm going to have it at some point. If I bought it, I'm going to eat it. And so like I think that's where some of like some of that discipline comes in. Like like you said there, if you're drinking a couple nights a week, can you save that for date night on Friday, right? Can you save that for a couple of days? Like if it's something, like obviously if it's something you feel like you need every day, then that I think that's another conversation. But like, can some of these things like it maybe like and I'm not talking about looking at like food as a reward, but like I think sometimes like we get too much into that too, like extra, like you don't earn your food, you don't things like that, but there are times where that could motivate you. I'm sticking to my calories these days. I'm getting my workouts in. On Friday night, I call it my refeed day. I pick one, sometimes 2 days a week. I have a refeed day. I eat either at maintenance or a little bit over, and I just enjoy myself. And my adherence is so much higher than if I try and constantly be below maintenance 7 days a week.
Yeah. No, it's just it's miserable to try to do it all the time. But it's that intentionality again, going back to the very beginning, which is I didn't happen to do it. Right, so I don't even like Oreos that much. Like they're like, don't
Stop
get me
it.
wrong,
We
Oreos
all
are,
do.
you know, Milk's favorites. No, I understand. But if I'm at a party and there's Oreos next to like homemade brownies next to my
You're
mom's,
jumping over the Oreos to get the brownie, right?
Yeah, like just knock them out of the way. Like these are sewage compared to this homemade brownie, you know. So Andrew Coates talks about this a lot, who you and I know, and he talks about like what are the things that you would really miss if they were gone from your life.
Yeah.
And those things are on the table 100%, but like things that you could care less about but you'll just eat cuz they're there, or you like them, they're fine.
Yeah.
But like, you know, chips and dip for me, like chips are in general, I'm kind of whatever about those. Like I'd eat them. Like if they're there, I'd eat them, but I could, if I never ate them again the rest of my life, I'd be fine.
Right.
If I never had pizza again, I don't know what I would do. I don't think I would be the same human being. like it's just generally like a real thing. Like it's part of, it's something that really I value and I enjoy, and it puts a smile on my face when I eat it, kind of thing. Like, oh, this is wonderful.
Yeah.
So those things, being intentional, especially if you're going to have, all right, I'm trying to eat these whole, less processed foods for the most of the time because they're going to make me more full and they're going to help me feel better, more energy, all of these things, all the reasons why we eat those foods. We eat those the majority of the time. So then when we eat these other things, we don't want to just like happen into this other stuff. We want to be like, yes, I'm intentionally eating this. So like the drinks that I'm having, I'm not just drinking because, you know, it's whatever. I'm having a strawberry margarita. And I know that this is all dads and they're all going to like, you know, throw disdain at me. You all know that you love those. Like those are the drinks that everybody thinks are delicious. Except for me, I'm a little bit of a pansy about it.
Cayman Jack margaritas. Those are way better than any beer you'll drink. So.
Yeah, it's just I can't. I lost my taste for. I used to be a sophisticated beer drinker, and I just lost my taste for it, and now it just tastes too bitter to me. So that's where I go. But like these are delicious, right? They are absolutely delicious. Or these cupcakes that, you know, these things that I really enjoy. Well, I'm gonna do those because I love experiencing them. I'm not gonna at the end of the night just dig into the, you know, whatever's kicking around my house, the pirate's booty, to go back to it, because I'm like, yeah, pirate's booty's fine, but I don't really care. So, but if I have those things that I'm like, hey, I like this and I look forward to it, or I'm going to have something that's a little bit less processed. I'm going to have just straight up strawberries or, you know, some piece of fruit or something like that as my evening snack. Being intentional about those things that are like, I love this food and this is going to be a game-changing experience for me to do it, versus just happening into food because it's there. That's a huge mindset shift and allows you to win long term.
Yeah, and I think what you kind of said there, like, you know, chips and salsa, like I think the only time I ever eat chips and salsa is at a Mexican restaurant, right? Because it's there. They place it. They place it in front of me, and I'm eating it.
And you can't stop. Like it's physically. A client said to me once, it's physically impossible to stop eating chips and salsa.
Right.
Like you can't do it. It's just there. You have to be like, take this away from me. In order to stop.
And there's something in the salsa, because when they ask you if you want another bowl, you always say yes, no matter how full you are.
You always say yes. Can you get more chips, please?
And I think like, you know, when you're kind of like what you said, when you're kind of depriving yourself from these things, like, then I think that's when the times at the night when you do find yourself, you're just eating whatever's there. You just keep eating it because you're like, I'm so hungry, I don't even care. Like, and it's like, how can we like if eating 200 calories worth of Sour Patch Kids will prevent you from getting into that I don't care mindset, then do
Yeah.
that. If a
Yeah.
strawberry margarita keeps you from drinking, 5 beers 3 times a
Yeah.
week, then do that. You know what I mean? It's like I
Yeah.
like if what can you do? Like, sure, if you went your whole life eating, you know, meat, vegetables, healthy like would would you be healthier physically? Possibly. You'd also be miserable.
Yeah.
You don't
Yeah.
like we don't live in a vacuum, and our bodies, like as much as the media likes to scare you, our bodies are so resilient. Like, do you look at some
Yeah.
of the things like your grandparents cooked. Look at some of the things they ate,
Yeah.
and like my grandma just turned 89. Like
Yeah.
she wasn't worried about getting like all these protein. You know what I mean? It's like they ate what
Yeah.
they ate. They ate whatever the way they cooked. Like, and it's just like I think we get way too caught up in finding what is like the perfect thing. One, with workouts like we talked about, but two, with food
Yeah.
too. Like
Yeah.
we get so caught up in things that don't really matter on the big scale.
I tell clients all the time, like if we're talking about adherence in terms of quality and in terms of quantity of food. So like I think about food on a spectrum, right? So
Right.
you did precision nutrition, right? So
Yep.
you have that.
Yep.
So like the red, yellow, green. So the biggest thing that I have to tell clients, so the eat green is eat as much as you want, whenever you want. Eat the yellow is eat sometimes, and the red is eat rarely. It's not eat never, it's eat
Yeah.
rarely. So it's eat on a treat occasion, right? And it's not
Yeah.
that those are bad for you. It's like thinking about it's a right turn on red. Okay. Or if you're not in the United States, I don't know where you turn. But right turn on red, you're going to stop, right? You're going to check, is there a car coming? Do I actually want to go? If there's no, all right, do I actually want to do this? That's all that the red light means in terms of your nutrition is like take a second to stop and ask yourself, do I actually want this? If the answer is yes, then eat it. Right? The yellow is just slow. Make sure you like, all right, we're ready to rock and roll. Like this isn't turning red, right? And then green is obviously keep going.
Yeah.
So in terms of your quality, I'd rather you be 80% in the green and yellow and 20% in the red than be 100% in the green and yellow and 0% in the red.
Right.
Given my choices, I'd rather you be there because you're much more likely to stick with the 80-20 than you are the 100.
Right.
Because you're gonna miss out on your life. And the same is true as you talked about with if you have calorie targets. If you have portion targets, if you have like a volume of food that you're eating, again, I'd rather you do that 5 or 6 days a week than 7 days a week. Because that extra seventh day, that extra 10% of whatever is actually going to be what stops you from sticking with it.
Right.
Versus get you you're not going to get the progress any faster necessarily. You're
Right.
like that day of, to do the math on it a little bit, right? So let's just say you went up to maintenance that day. That's a 500 calorie difference. That is literally 1/7 of a pound. Like, is your mental ability to stick with this worth 1/7 of a pound?
Yeah.
100% it is. And so that flexibility is why it's become popular to go so far that direction, is because the benefit of it is consistency. And consistency is what yields results more than what we've talked about, the vacuum of did we do this perfectly?
Right.
And the same thing is true for workouts. I'd rather you get, if you have 3 workouts a week for a month, I'd rather you consistently get 9 out of those 12 than get 12 out of 12 one month and then get 3 out of 12 the next month because of the situation that happened with my client, where like a disaster struck and you couldn't do what you wanted, and so you didn't do anything. Right? So the flexibility that allows you to stick with it long term is going to be what gets you the results that you're looking to get.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I think you touched on a lot of good things there. I really liked the stoplight analogy there. Unfortunately, I've seen drivers here in the Midwest, and so maybe that's why we're struggling with those nutritious foods there.
Bombing
Because
through
yeah,
there.
yielding on red is not a concept we are familiar with. But
California stop.
yeah.
Just cruising right through there.
Yeah, and driving on the right side, that is a new concept as well. No, but no, I think I think a lot of the I think that's really helpful. Kind of looking at things is just like some things you have. Just kind of like I said earlier, like with my son and my daughter, like we talk about like eating. Sometimes food, right? And those red foods doesn't mean like you never do this, right? You never have it, but probably just a little less, right? The green foods, the
Yeah.
green and the yellow, are going to get you kind of where you want to go a little quicker, right? You can go a little faster,
Mm-hmm.
right? And the red
Mm-hmm.
doesn't mean you can't have them, but if most of our diet is filled with it, it's going to be much more difficult.
Yeah. Well, and just think about how you feel. So, like Jordan Syatt, one of his most famous YouTube videos that you talked about earlier with the Big Mac, right? He ate McDonald's and lost like 8 to 10 pounds, but he
Yeah.
came on and he's like, I feel like I lost weight, but I feel like trash.
Right.
And so, again, not everything is about losing weight, it's how you feel. And so your ability to feel good and have energy for your kids. So like my son is home today, my oldest son is home today from daycare. It's one of his 2 days a week that he gets to go to daycare, and he has to be home because he spiked a fever last night. He's fine today, but you have to be 24 hours fever free before you can go back to daycare. So he's home today. So all this morning I'm playing with him, and he was just like, Daddy, let's do this. Daddy, let's do that. Let's chase. Let's run. Let's crawl into this fort. Let's make a fort. Let's jump. Before I came down here, is like, put me on your shoulders and dance around and call it a dad party. Like that is driven by the daily the red and or the yellow and green foods. That's driven by the exercise and the consistency with it.
Right.
My weight, he doesn't care about my weight.
Yeah.
He cares if I'll pick him up. He cares if I have the energy to chase him around when he says daddy chase.
Yeah.
That's what he cares about. And so the behaviors that we do that to lose weight, those are great, but and we'll lose weight from it. But if the end goal is, all right, more than just that, I want to be as present of a dad as I always envisioned that I would be, and that my kid expects me to be. Well, then I'm going to need to feel good and have some energy, and that comes from not necessarily obliterating myself in the gym with like the picture perfect workout for powerlifters. It's like, all right, go in and live to fight another day with your workout versus just doing the all right, we can make this work.
Right.
But what's going to be what's best for me in this scenario of my life to get me the outcome that I want, which is we lose weight, and that's the byproduct of taking care of myself.
Yeah, no, I like that. Not pushing through a workout just because you feel like you need to get it done, but just some days you're not going to feel it. Figuring out like what you can kind of stick to, what's going to allow you to get the most out of it. So yeah, I like that analogy. Jeff, I appreciate you coming on the show. I think we could probably talk for hours, just about different things. Relating to not only fitness and nutrition, but just fatherhood as well. We're both in pretty similar situations here with our young kids. So it's fun. It's always fun. Never a dull moment. But I appreciate you coming on the show. I know we mentioned earlier about your podcast, the Dependable Dad. Where else can people find you?
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me on. Jeff Dalzell Fitness. So it's DALZELL Fitness on Instagram, or connect with me on Facebook. My name, and I have a free fitness group as well. I know you have the Fatherhood Fitness one, so mine's the Fit and Present Parent group on Facebook. Would love to connect with you there. But yeah, Instagram's usually the quickest way to get a hold of me, and would love to chat with you there on Facebook or in the group or the podcast. Would love to hear you. We did an episode which is live right now on Spotify. So if you want to check that out too.
Awesome. Yeah, well, I'll get all the information from you, and I'll put that in the show notes. But once again, like I said, I appreciate you coming on the show. I'm just kind of giggling here. My it on the recording software here, it saved my image as me drinking the Ghost energy drink there. So that's the preview of the episode.
Just yeah, that's just about how it goes right there.
The one time I took it, but yeah, sorry, go ahead.
I wish I had mine. I gotta go get one after this to get myself through the back half of my day.
Yeah.
I'm sitting on my workout bench right now. If you saw me moving around and like getting
a little,
this is not
the most stiff,
ergonomic, or not the most ergonomically comfortable chair that I've been sitting on for the last hour. But it's the nature of having a kid at home right now.
Right.
So we're in the basement today.
But awesome, man.
Awesome.
Thanks again for coming on, and we'll definitely have you on again sometime.
Awesome. Thanks for having me, man. Chat soon.
That concludes this episode of the Fatherhood Fitness Podcast. Thank you for those of you who took time out of your busy schedules to listen. If you have any questions or comments or an idea for a topic for a future episode, please feel free to reach out, and I'd love to hear from you.